So you want to upgrade your video content to achieve that professional look. Whether you're creating YouTube videos, working on freelance projects, or attending virtual meetings, these techniques will elevate your video quality anywhere in your house or apartment. In this video, we'll be breaking down the basics of camera and lens choice, different ways to get professional quality audio, the basics of better lighting, and how to create good composition. Now, I want to preface that you don't need an expensive studio or dedicated home office space just to get a good, clean setup. You can use these techniques to create a pro-level YouTube setup anywhere in your home or office space. So first, let's dive into the camera. I'm currently shooting this video on the Sony FX3 with a 24-70 f2.8 from Sigma. This kit comes in at a little over $6,000, and now before you come at me for telling you to buy a high-end camera, you can still achieve a really good quality look for less than $1,000 on Amazon with something like the Sony ZV-1. I've even found really good deals on Facebook Marketplace like this A6400 that someone is selling locally with a few really good lens options. I always recommend someone considering secondhand cameras because these manufacturers are coming out with new cameras all the time, and the previous models still pack a lot of value and quality without breaking the bank. So what do you really need? To keep it simple, you want a camera that can record in 4K, doesn't have a 30-minute record limit unless you can live with that, and is not prone to overheating. And yes, that is an issue. I've had it happen to me when I was filming with the Canon R5 in 100-degree weather. Now, when it comes to lens choice, there are several different factors that contribute to achieving that, again, professional look. Currently, I'm using the 24-70 from Sigma, which is a lens I use for about 80% of my YouTube content and professional work. But to choose the right lens for your YouTube setup, you need to consider two things. How close are you to the camera, and how far are you from the background? For smaller spaces, I always recommend a wide angle lens like the 15-35 that can keep you in frame while capturing the surrounding environment. I also recommend grabbing a lens that has a low aperture, which is just that f-stop number you see. These can range anywhere from f1.2 to f10 and above, but for the simplicity of this video, the lower the f-stop, the more separation you will see from yourself in the background. I would opt for a zoom lens, which will give you a lot more flexibility depending on your room size, and one that has a low aperture somewhere between f2.8 and f4. Now, I would recommend avoiding extremely low aperture numbers like f1.2 in the beginning, just because it can get extremely expensive and could result in parts of your face being out of focus while others are sharp, which really just isn't a good look. So if you're a beginner, stick with the f2.8 to f4. And similar to the camera, I'd recommend grabbing a lens secondhand off something like Facebook or your local camera store. Now, moving into audio, which plays a crucial role in delivering a high quality video experience for your viewers. As the saying goes, people will forgive bad video, but will never forgive bad sound. A negative audible experience is one of the fastest ways to turn off a viewer, and there are tons of ways we can elevate this. So it's essential to prioritize quality audio. Fortunately for us, there are a lot of options when it comes to microphones. You have on-camera mics, which are a budget-friendly way to attach the microphone directly to your camera via an auxiliary cord, and you can even use these as boom mics. You have shotgun or boom microphones, which are directional, high-quality microphones that usually require XLR cords, which can help focus the audio frequencies towards your subject while reducing the background noise. You have podcast-style microphones, which is what I'm using right here, which is perfect for videos like this, and you have lavalier microphones, which are great if you're really far away from the camera, and on-camera microphones won't be as clear as you want them to be, or if you're moving around and changing direction, looking away from the camera. The goal should always be to have the microphone as close to us as possible, which will help reduce unwanted room noise and give us the best opportunity for clean and clear audio. If you're just starting out and looking for something more budget-friendly, I recommend grabbing something like the Rode Video Micro, the D-to-D4, which are less than $50 on Amazon. Then you could add an extended auxiliary cable to plug directly into your camera, so you have best of both worlds, an on-camera microphone and one you could also use as a small boom mic. Don't forget, you can also improve your audio quality with post-processing. I'm sure you're using an editing software, so you can always adjust the levels and the frequencies to make it sound even better. All right, moving on to lighting, which is an essential requirement that adds depth and contrast to your videos. Now, while I won't go into specific lights and the price ranges in this video, you can find a variety of options online with budget brands like GVM, mid-tier brands like Godox, which is what I use, and then the higher priced options out there like Aperture. In this video, we're focusing specifically on the proper techniques and how to use the lighting to complement your scene or your YouTube videos. And there are three basic techniques that everyone should know to create a good lighting setup: key lights, practical lighting or background lighting, and motivated lighting. First and foremost is your key light. This is the main source of light used to light up you or the subject. I'm using the Godox VL150 with a softbox to help soften the light on my face, and I highly recommend using a light that has a softbox to give yourself a more natural and inviting look. Without it, the light may be too bright for you to even see and will appear extremely harsh, creating hot spots on your face. I also highly recommend choosing a light that can be powered both by electrical outlet and battery. Having the battery powered option has been a lifesaver for me on numerous occasions. Probably the second most important lighting, in my opinion, is the background lighting, otherwise known as practical lighting. This involves using light sources that are visible within the frame of your shot. This helps separate you from the background and can naturally draw the viewer's eye towards you. And you don't even have to buy lights for this either. You can use something like a lamp or various lights around your house as background lights to brighten the scene and enhance your videos. I've seen a lot of videos where people are purchasing things like the Philips Hue lights so they can even change the color to match the mood of their videos. In my home office, I personally use Philips Hue strips behind the desk here, different tube lights, and the small aperture MC lights to kind of help control the lighting even more. And after that, next we can add in the motivated lighting. This light is positioned out of frame and complements your background lighting. In this shot, I'm using the Nanlite Pavo tube placed out of frame. This technique is also known as a rim light, which adds contrast and depth to yourself, and it creates the illusion that the light on the side of you is coming from the background lights. There's another method called hair light that I don't use very often personally, mainly because I find it unnecessary to set up for my YouTube videos, but I have used it on professional client work. To set up a hair light, all you have to do is mount a light above your head and slightly behind you, which will then create an additional rim light on top of your head. This further separates you from the background and draws more attention to you. Now, one more thing to consider are windows and time of day. If you're filming in a room that has a lot of windows during midday, be aware that your lighting may change due to sunlight, clouds, or other weather conditions affecting the incoming light. It can be really frustrating to deal with the constant shifts in lighting when adjusting your white balance, exposure. To mitigate this, I suggest filming at night, keeping your blinds closed, or using something to cover your windows to minimize the variations and fluctuations in light, because I can promise you this is a really big pain in the editing process. Now let's talk about the backdrop and composition, something I feel is often overlooked. Composition basically refers to how elements in your video or photo are positioned or arranged. Consider the items behind me and where I'm positioned relative to those items. When framing yourself, it's essential to keep a composition that complements your surroundings. Placing yourself against a flat wall with no depth or dimension can be one of the most uninspiring choices for a video. And on the flip side, having a really cluttered, noisy background can distract the viewer's attention. Some things I try to consider when setting up a shot or even designing a space for YouTube content is how I frame myself in a way that helps the viewer feel like it's natural. You want your backdrop to be visually appealing without being overly busy or dull. Now remember the practical lighting tip we just talked about. We can use the background lights to help complement the scene and serve as a way to frame the subject, naturally drawing the viewer's eye towards us. This also prevents you from getting lost in the background. Something else to consider is what you're wearing. For example, if the background is predominantly black and you're wearing a black shirt, you're more than likely gonna get lost in the background. You can combat this with lighting, or you can simply just change your shirt so there's more contrast between you and the background. Now, these are just some techniques that you can use when creating a high quality YouTube setup in your home or apartment. You don't need a fancy space. You really just need to understand composition, lighting, and good audio. And as long as you have a 4K camera, you're probably pretty set. And I hope this video has helped you understand how to elevate your YouTube videos or even client videos, as a matter of fact, and a few techniques that can help you go from that beginner level to pro level almost overnight. Now, I know there are a lot of options out there, and sometimes it can get a little overwhelming when it comes to cameras, lenses, lighting, and audio. And I want you to feel assured that you can create a good quality video for yourself or your clients on a budget. I've made videos like this for less than $1,000, and I've used equipment up to $10,000 plus. Really, it comes down to understanding these techniques and how to use them, because you can have the most expensive camera out there, but still have a pretty poor quality video. If you have any questions or feel like I missed something, I'm always happy to help. So hit me in the comments. And as always, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.